this is a design that's over 50 years old. The design was almost complete by the end of 1962, first flew in 1967. The type has now been retired for almost a decade, but it was still at the top of its game when the Swedish Air Force phased out the last operational examples of this SAAB product. It did so in 2005, but the traditions of those days are well and truly kept alive by the Swedish Air Force historic flight based, as we said, at Waddington. It has an outstanding fleet of retired Swedish Air Force types, many of them from the SAAB stable itself, really illustrating the great development of designs from that Swedish manufacturer that occurred during the post-war years. Aircraft in March last year.
Yes, a very sporting takeoff there, Ben. A really impressive performance indeed, and I agree, totally wonderful to see it back in, completing a full 360.
The aircraft was designed to meet astonishingly demanding requirements on the part of the Swedish Air Force, including operations from roads and unprepared strips. Exercises during the Cold War for off-airfield operations by the Viggens were common. The idea was that if one forward road base was bombed and put out of action, the aircraft would always be able to taxi to another one. Program went through various changes, but it produced a superb fighter that entered service with F7 wing at Waddington in AJ37 form in February 1971.
So completing a loop there and two dropping down, he's going to go into a series of barrel rolls now with another pull-up and then rolling off the top. So keep your eyes peeled. It's a marvellous display so far. Flown by a very talented young fellow, Stellan Anderson. Ben, I suspect you've met him.
Yes, in fact, he joined the Swedish Air Force in 1969 and he has a huge amount of experience on all of the frontline types since then. A Viggen display pilot in his active service and resuming that role last year on this beautiful silver example. In 1977. Much later it was upgraded to AJS37 standard, and it was through various updates that the Viggen maintained its position at the tip of the Swedish Air Force's spear. They were very active in the Cold War on quick reaction alert scrambles, both by the AJ37 attack aircraft with a secondary air defence role and the JA37 air defence variant with a secondary ground attack role.
Rolling off the top of a massive great wing there. That was hugely impressive, using all the sky. Fabulous stuff.
And the Swedish Air Force pilots were and are hugely skilled. I interviewed one a couple of years ago called Peter Lindjan. He was a multiple motorcycle racing champion for, I believe, Honda in Sweden and elsewhere, and a Swedish Air Force pilot for all of that time. And Peter Lindjan said we were allowed to fly at 10 meters above lakes and 20 meters above ground, and we did that at high speed. Look at the platform, the double delta platform of the Viggen as it pulls up. And the aircraft's performance was such that JA37 air defense variants, more powerful version of the Volvo Fligmotor RM8 engine, were the only fighters that were able to get a radar lock onto US Air Force SR-71 Blackbirds operating around the Baltic. They had to fly at the very edges of their envelope to do so, passing through Mach 2 while climbing to 20,000 feet.
Yes, now Ben, best explain the JAS and the AJR configurations. There are obviously Swedish derivatives of attack, strike and reconnaissance roles, so just explain that.
AJ stands for attack, and I think jakt is the Swedish word for fighter, so that's attack and fighter. JA the other way round, and then the S added to this designation is spaning, I'm not quite sure of the pronunciation, which means reconnaissance.
There you go, that's a good inside track, and the repositions now for a slower speed pass. Coming in from your left-hand side.
329 Viggens were built. When they were retired, the majority were things like this. And the historic flight has two, this one and a two-seater. Superb demonstration of its maneuverability. It was stored, this aircraft, for 15 years by the historic flight before it flew again. It was subject to scrupulous maintenance, systems testing and so on over the years, and the transition to the Swedish Civil Register was smooth. It's appeared at several Scandinavian air shows last year, plus Jersey and Sanicol in Belgium, but this its first appearance on the British mainland.
Yes, quite superb there. You were quite right commenting on its manoeuvrability, particularly at slow speed there. Given the age that this aircraft has developed, a very high-speed pass coming up now, so stand by for a wee bit of noise, but a great opportunity to appreciate this aircraft at low level.
George, not least because a good friend of mine flew one. This was Mike Rondo, former RAF Jaguar pilot, who's now an acclaimed aviation artist. Number 41 Squadron at Coldershall on the Jaguar did a squadron exchange with a Swedish Viggen wing. Mike got to fly the Viggen, the Swedes got to fly the Jaguar, the Swedes got into the two-seat Jaguar, and Mike remembers they were able to fly lower and faster on their first trip in it than the RAF pilots could.
Gosh, extraordinary.
Mike said that flying with the Viggen force knocked all the myths about who's got the best aeroplanes, who's got the best trained pilots, and so on. It was a superb aeroplane. Gear coming down now.
Overall, far too quickly, isn't it, Ben? That was a tremendous performance, but I think we've got something to come yet, which I think is going to be an excellent example of a very short field landing. You were talking about the impressive short takeoff performance. It's got an equally good performance on landing as well. So let's just see, because he's going to tweak a little bit of reverse engine on this, and let's just see how short this run is.
Yes, the Volvo RM8 engine, a licensed-produced version of the American Pratt & Whitney JT8D. Volvo designed the afterburner. And the reverse thrust is intended to kick in, I was told by a former SAAB test pilot a couple of years ago, once all three wheels are on the ground.
Very interesting. So here it is coming up now, the final manoeuvre from Stellan, and it is, I think, going to be quite impressive. It's very interesting, the contributions, I should say, during the post-war years, and indeed leading through that period to the use of roads. Of course, the German nation was very heavily involved in that, and perhaps that's why they've got a better Autobahn network in the United Kingdom, I wonder.
Yes, that mode of operation has somewhat gone out of fashion since the end of the Cold War, though it has still been practiced in certain nations, but now we're going to see a demonstration of short field capabilities that still very few jets can manage, even mock ones. There we go, what a beauty.
That is quite extraordinary. That's a big, heavy jet, and that is a very, very impressive landing roll indeed. That's right. I did drop somebody at a bus stop once on the highway one. It was snowing heavily. I had no chance of making the airstrip, so I said, chaps, I'm going to give up, but you can get the bus if you wish. And he's going into reverse as well. Look at that!
Manoeuvring on the ground as well as in the air, finishing off a superb sequence and a very nostalgic one for some of us who remember the tight service heyday from Stellan Andersson in the Swedish Air Force historic flight's contribution is not over. SK60s and SAAB 105s we've seen before at UK air shows. We've seen Viggens before at UK air shows. Here on the runway is an aircraft that's never flown before at an English air show. The sole airworthy example of its type in the world, as is the Viggen, and a representative of really one of the earliest generations of indigenous Swedish jet fighters. An aircraft that first flew on the 1st of September 1948 and entered service 3 years later with F-13 wing at North Chirping. Some of you, I'm sure, will have read about how German research during wartime into swept-wing jet aircraft was distributed around the West post-war. And that was the case here. That research found its way to SAAB during development of a new fighter for the post-war years. Its initial design was altered to incorporate that configuration, and here's the result. The Puma, the SAAB J39